Yo, how's everyone doing? I think it's pretty awesome that you have me talking right after Austria. We have different opinions on sequencers, so that'll be exciting. Big picture, there's just one thing I want you to take away from this presentation. It's that we are taking an extreme approach towards what it means to have a very, very performant environment. We want to scale blockchains, and we're not going to take anything else as a result. A bit about us. We are a team with a pretty strong domain expertise in low latency compute, high performance networking, and just a general spirit, vibes, and technology of blockchains. Why are we actually here? Elong studied low latency compute at Stanford for his PhD. Lei did high throughput networking at MIT for his PhD. Some of you may also know him as one of the co-authors of the famous data availability white paper of Shuyao from Eigenlayer. Shuyao led global business development at Consensus for 6 years. MetaMask, Linea, and Fura. I myself am just like the local degen, right? Did a little bit of venture, investing in infrastructure, ran a prop book in New York trading, and have been an operator in DAOs and companies like Consensus. I think we have a thesis, which you've heard a billion times now, which is that L1 blockchains fundamentally cannot scale proportional to the world compute, right? And that's because traditionally, L1s are heterogeneous, right? Nodes are heterogeneous. Meaning that ultimately, if you want to be really, really performant, you need to have a beefy node, right? And the beefier a node is, you know, surprise, surprise, the harder it is to decentralize, right? And have many, many participants. There we go. So, I mean, I think it's interesting when you look at the actual tasks which a blockchain has to do, and what are the ideal configurations for those tasks to be completed. So we basically have sequencing, execution, dissemination, finalization, as well as validation. Right? And in an ideal world, they have different trade-offs. You know, like for sequencing and execution, you really want to make sure that's a very powerful node so you have extremely performant block production. For validation, you know, you want that to be as decentralized as humanly possible. What you have is, in traditional heterogeneous architectures, people making decisions on this trade-off curve, right? So here's a very lightweight bunny, it's pretending to be a node, that does all of these things. Validation, fantastic. Really, really low cost of entry, very decentralized. Finalization, okay. Okay, sequencing sucks. Execution sucks. It's not very performant. That's Ethereum, right? They made an extreme trade-off. Now you have a substantially beefier bunny, right? Beefy node. Fantastic for execution. Not so good for validation, right? That's Solana. So a lot of people are like, hey, you know, Solana's great, really, really performant, not as decentralized, right? So we take very different approaches, and this is actually because we're in L2. We can actually optimize something called node specialization. The thesis is that instead of having a node be heterogeneous, doing everything, all of those different tasks, why not have particular software and hardware configurations for that particular task, right? And that's effectively what we do. So, you know, imagine a world where each node is specialized and optimized for this task. For sequencing and execution, you have a very, very beefy node, right? And that is not very decentralized. But for validation, you have an extremely lightweight node and many, many, many prover nodes, right? Which are very, very decentralized. What if you could actually optimize the blockchain on a task basis, which is possible for layer 2, and I will explain that momentarily. So this is kind of what we do, right? We have one sequencer, very, very beefy, not at all decentralized, which is able to hit 100K transactions per second. And because it's one centralized node that's been optimized, like 1 millisecond latency, right? We have effectively a wide range of nodes. The long story short is that our provers are actually more decentralized than Ethereum when it comes to the cost of actually being able to participate in the network. So here are the 3 basic configurations of our sequencer prover, which is currently an optimistic model, and our full node. As you can see, block production, i.e. sequencer, is way beefier than a Solana node, right? But when you look at our basic block validation, it's way, way, way more decentralized and lighter than an Ethereum node. It's kind of doing the best of all worlds, right? Oh, anybody want to see that? I'm seeing some pictures are being taken. There we go. Love fuel. So this is kind of similar to anyone who likes to read Vitalik blog posts, as I'm sure everyone here pretends to do. Back in 2021, he kind of showed this outcome. Hey, what if we just have an optimized model where block production is still centralized, quite honestly, pragmatic about it. But you basically have maximizing the block validation in a decentralized manner. And then you obviously, because you're layer 2, you have the intrinsic censorship resistance guarantees that are associated. That's basically what MegaETH is. What we have to do now, though, is you have a very, very, very optimized piece of the puzzle, i.e. fantastic block production. But it's just one piece of the puzzle, right? And if you don't optimize the rest of the EVM, you end up just having the bottleneck somewhere else. That's not why we're here. We're here to build a real-time blockchain. So here you're going to see a very basic schematic of the MegaETH architecture. The sequencer is extremely beefy, and that allows us to do additional optimizations. We're able to do JIT compiling, in-memory computing, as well as parallelization, which is a very popular buzzword these days. Past that, however, we also optimize the prover network, right? We're able to effectively decouple the individual nodes to do a subset of the sequencer's transactions. That means that we don't have to scale the hardware requirements of the prover nodes with that of the sequencer. This is similar to stateless validation. From there, we have our full nodes. Our full node network has a couple of additional optimizations, right? We have our state deltas compressed, as well as the fact that we've rewritten the data state trie. The end result is 100,000 transactions per second, sub-millisecond latency, and 1 millisecond block times. Pretty exciting, and there's a reason why we're able to do this, right? It's because we've taken this idea of node specialization, having every single node do a very particular task, and taken it to the absolute extreme. We can only do this by being a layer 2. We have a couple things that allow us to inherit the security and decentralization of Ethereum, as we ourselves have centralized block production. We have proofs to ensure the sequencer is following the rules, right? That's initially going to be optimistic because, ZK is expensive, but we're very, very excited to be able to switch when the time comes. We have the guaranteed rights of a force exit, right? If you think the sequencer is being malicious or it's censoring transactions, you can still exit to the L1. And then finally, you have the ability to rotate the sequencer, right? There is a big difference between decentralizing a sequencer, i.e. multiple sequences running, and you lose all of the performance and latency benefits, and actually rotating who is running the sequencer in some sort of block interval. So I just gave a bunch of fun facts about MegaETH, how we work, how exciting it is. But in the end of the day, we are way more obsessed with applications than we are boring infrastructure. At least I am. I think MegaETH has become the unlock to be able to build real-time apps. It's the reason why everyone in crypto actually got in here, right? The ability to create peer-to-peer applications that have a permissionless base layer, right? Anyone, anywhere can come and play and learn and grow. So in that regard, we have quite an opinionated approach towards ecosystem development. We think that if you have a real-time blockchain, we need to find people to build real-time applications. And this is an open call. Please reach out. I would love to work with you very, very closely on building real-time apps. You might be a DeFi fan. There's great HFT use cases. You might be way more interested in consumer. Imagine a streaming blockchain where you can basically stream information in 1 millisecond intervals. That's crazy. You can put everything on chain, and there are no trade-offs anymore. Also, autonomous worlds, allegedly have insane product market fit, even though autonomous worlds themselves do not yet have product market fit. So if anyone here is an AW, do reach out. I'm a very big fan. I think it could be a lot of fun. Here's some use cases, right? So I love the idea of a real-time prediction market. It's a bit silly, but imagine being able to bet on events as they're happening. It could be some sort of reality TV show as opposed to a long-term presidential election. My personal opinion is people care way more about betting on fun things than they do about betting on dark, depressing, state of the world things. You can build different kinds of betting products, decentralized racing games. Those are the ones I mentioned. But you can build real-time money markets, right? You can finally build a fully on-chain club. You can build a fully on-chain perp dex. These things are actually now possible. You can build a fully on-chain Minecraft. I have a friend who's building that. You can build literally anything your mind has to propose. I'm particularly interested in consumer applications. In the realm of attention monetization, right? I personally think the times of putting $1 in to take $1 out are done. You need to enable people to be able to participate with the blockchain and peer-to-peer networks with things other than capital. So if anyone's ideating about this, doesn't look like it, do let me know. So yeah, that's me. That's MegaETH. We are on a mission to make Ethereum great again. And yeah, this is a pretty cool MegaDev logo / poster that I like.